I'm going to start by saying this. I've been burned before by the budget leaf vacuum that promised a truck-size capacity for the price of a sack of potatoes, only to watch the bag fill up after a single afternoon of yard work and end up lugging a half-full, noisy bag through the house. That regret is what got me looking for a real middle ground, something that isn't a $2,000 professional unit but also doesn't quit on you the moment a light breeze whips the leaves around. The Agri Fab soft top Mow-N-Vac looks like it's trying to be that smarter buy, so I dug into how it actually performs when you pull it behind a mower, how the capacity holds up in a typical suburban lawn, and what hidden trade-offs you might run into before you click add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of yard most homeowners have. If you're mowing an acre lot with a mower that can take a 30-inch deck, you'll inevitably generate a mix of grass clippings, small twigs, and the occasional maple leaf. The standard approach is to rake the clippings into a pile, bag them, or just leave them on the lawn and hope they decompose. That's fine if you only have a few inches of clippings, but when autumn rolls in the volume skyrockets, and you end up with a lawn that looks like a shredded carpet. The soft top Mow-N-Vac promises a 29 cubic foot collection bin big enough to hold a decent amount of material before you have to stop and dump it. In a real-world test, I pulled it behind a 21 horsepower push mower on a typical suburban yard, and the bin filled at roughly the same rate you'd see with a commercial-grade vacuum set for a similar surface area. The high suction performance claim isn't just marketing jargon. The 208 cubic centimeters engine seems to maintain enough RPM to keep the airflow steady even as the bag begins to get heavy. You'll notice the difference most when you're dealing with wet leaves that tend to stick together. The vacuum actually pulls them apart, preventing clogs that cheap units often suffer. Now, who should consider this piece of equipment? If you're a homeowner who already owns a mower and wants to avoid the extra step of bagging or spreading clippings manually, this is a logical addition. It fits a wide range of mower decks, from 20-inch to 30-inch, thanks to the universal hitch design, so you don't need to buy a brand-specific adapter. It's also a decent pick for small-scale landscapers who need a portable, tow-behind solution without hauling a separate large-capacity vacuum trailer. On the flip side, if you live in a very small yard where a bagger or a simple grass catcher on your mower does the job, you'll probably never tap into the 29 cubic foot capacity and end up paying for features you never use. Likewise, if you have a very steep slope or uneven terrain, the smooth tow-behind operation can be compromised. The unit sits low to the ground and can snag on rocks or garden beds if you're not careful with your tow path. One of the practical strengths that shows up day after day is the soft top collection bin. Unlike the hard plastic shells you see on many vacuum trailers, Agri Fab chose a flexible fabric that reduces dust when the bin is opened. I've found that when you dump a full bag out on the driveway, the dust plume is minimal, which is a big plus if you have neighbors close by or if you're trying to keep your home's exterior clean. The material also folds up for storage, so you can stow it in a garage corner without taking up too much space. In terms of durability, the bin held up to a few small punctures from sharp twigs without tearing, thanks to the reinforced seams. However, the trade-off is that very heavy, wet loads can cause the bin to sag slightly, making it a bit fiddly to lift when it's near capacity. If you routinely clean up after a storm with soggy leaves, you might hit that sagging point earlier than you'd like. Another point worth mentioning is the actual power draw of the 208 cubic centimeters engine. It's not a massive engine, but it's calibrated to run off the mower's PTO in many cases, meaning you don't need a separate fuel source. In my testing, the engine never stalled even when the vacuum was pulling through a dense patch of clippings. The high suction stays consistent, which translates to fewer interruptions. That being said, the engine does make a noticeable whine, louder than the mower itself, so if you're sensitive to noise or have a close-by house, you'll hear it. It's not a deal-breaker. Most homeowners accept a little extra noise for the convenience of a clean lawn, but it's something to be aware of. What about the hidden expenses? The Agri Fab soft top Mow-N-Vac is sold as a single unit with no additional accessories. Some users might assume you'll need extra filters or spare hoses, but the package,